Hey, what is going on, guys? XpertFusion here, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of the Telltale The Walking Dead TV adaptation series. Now, I want to think of an actual name for this show rather than just calling it The Walking Dead Telltale TV adaptation. I haven't come up with a name yet. I have so many different thoughts in my head, but none of them sound good. Just cannot think of a name that's not like generic, that's not just stupid, or that just doesn't sound right. I want something that just rolls off the tongue nicely. And I don't think that's gonna come for a while. I might eventually pick a full name for it, but right now it's just Telltale The Walking Dead TV adaptation series. It's just easier. It rolls off, it's easier to say that than coming up with some generic stupid name like, I don't know, The Walking Dead No Man's Land or something. Like something generic. I don't want that. I want something that fits the theme of the show well, and I feel like I need to just write some more to actually get that theme in my mind. But we are starting with the first episode of Season 2, which, may I add, Season 2 is going to be very different than the game was. It's going to have some similar elements, of course. There's going to be some characters from the game coming in. There's going to be a lot of storylines from the Season 2 of the game coming in. But there's also going to be a lot of new stuff and a lot of remixed stuff. Also, don't expect the entirety of Season 2 to be covered within the Season 2 of my show. Season 2 of the game is going to be expanded across multiple seasons, so we might see some of the contents from Season 2 appear in Season 3 or Season 4, or probably not Season 5, but you get the idea. It's going to expand a little bit further off because there's a lot more story I want to tell, a lot more characters I want to deal with than what the game did. So, this is Episode 1. It is titled A Bad Day. The first episode, the premiere of Season 1, was titled A New Day, and I thought this was cool to call A Bad Day, and you'll see why it's titled A Bad Day in just a little bit. Characters that we have right now is Clementine, Christa, and Omid. Those are the only three characters that are returning from Season 1 that are going to be in this episode. I know there's other characters you guys might be wondering about, like Jordan, Molly, Kenny, but they're not here right now. Expect them to come at another point in the story. But for right now, it's just Clementine, Christa, and Omid, and some possible new characters that will come in this episode as well. So, also, what I want to point out is the apocalypse. Now, I'm trying to keep this within the same universe as the TV show, as well as Fear the Walking Dead. So, like the main show, Fear the Walking Dead, and its third series, everything that's within that universe, I want this to kind of take part in that same universe. So, I'm trying to map out different dates and events and how things are going on. So, I've been doing a lot of research on the show, and it seems like the best guess I can get as to when the apocalypse started within the main show is August of 2010. So, like later in August of 2010. That's the best guess I can give based on everything I've checked. I've gone research over Fear the Walking Dead, over the main show, and I know it's in 2010. That's confirmed. It can't not be 2010 because in Fear the Walking Dead, Travis puts the 2010 on a grave after someone died. So I knew it was in 2010. So August 2010, that's when it started. The Starved for Help time jump that I did in episode 4 skipped 3 months, so that was in November of 2010. The finale ended in the same month. That whole entire season went by within just like a month after after episode 4. So it ended towards the end of November 2010 last season. And this season is beginning the first episode in July of 2011. So this is 8 months later after the events of season 1, after the finale events, of course. So let's get into the start of this episode. So the episode begins with Clementine looking to the trees as Christa and Omid follow behind. They walk through the woods. Christa is about 9 months pregnant, and the baby will be coming any day now. Omid and Christa talk about a name, and Omid wants to call the baby Omid if it's a baby, and Christa doesn't want that at all. Clementine finds a frisbee on the floor. Omid goes along to, kind of catch it, and yells at Clem to throw it, but she doesn't throw it very well, and it ends up landing in a river that is flowing right next to them in the woods. They come across 3 walkers. Omid gets ready to take them out with his crowbar, but instead he tells Clem to take practice shots. Clem pulls out her suppressed M9 pistol from her holster and tries to kill the walkers. She misses her first 2 shots, but hits the third one in the head of the walker. The second walker, she shoots in the neck and then in the head. For the last walker, though, she hits it in the head first try. They reach a little town with some stores and a bar. Two more walkers come from the side of a little shop, but Omid uses his crowbar to take them both out. Omid tells Clem to remember what to look for. That includes food, water, medicine, anything for a baby. Clem walks into the bar with Omid close behind. Christa holds a bolt-action rifle, a Car 98K specifically. Clem looks behind the counter to find something, and all she finds are empty bottles of beer and papers and garbage, all that stuff. She looks into her bag to put a granola bar in it, and she looks at a picture she drew from the motor inn of Kenny's family and herself and Lee. Her bag is the same colorful rainbow bag that she found between the time jump. Omid looks in the bathroom and he quickly closes his nose from the horrid stench. A man is sitting on the floor with his neck stretched to the side and his neck completely empty of blood from a bite. Bugs and rats feed on the man. Clem smells it from the other side of the bar. She is suddenly attacked by a walker from the kitchen door. It's a large walker with a chef outfit. She drops her gun whilst the walker tries to bite her. Clem pushes with her feet and hands against the walker as Christa comes quickly and stabs the walker in the head with a knife. They decide to camp out in the bar for the night after Omid cleans up the bathroom smell. They cook up some cans of beans with a pot and a lighter under the stove. At night, the three play a game of cards. Omid tries to teach Clem how to play blackjack. They have a nice peaceful night. As Clem is presumably sleeping, Omid and Christa talk about the baby. Christa starts crying after telling Omid about all her worries and how she has no idea how they can raise a child in this world. Omid tries to keep her hopeful. Christa says they don't even have the proper supplies to do this, and Omid says that's why they are headed for this hospital. Clem is shown on the screen to be awake and listening to the entire conversation. In the morning, they start walking down the road and reach the city of Augusta. It's a city that's on the border of Georgia and South Carolina. They see the city from the distance, and Omid spots out a hospital. He tells Clem that was the exact hospital he was actually born in. Omid takes lead because he knows his way around the city, since he lived in it for about 10 years when he was a kid. They walk the streets, and it's surprisingly clear of walkers. Christa says they ain't staying here for long. Omid says of course not. They make it to the outside of the hospital and look around for a way in, just as they are approached by a black woman from the alleyway. The group aim their weapons up at this lady. This lady's name is Tavia, or Tavia. I'm gonna say Tavia because you could pronounce it either way, really. But this is, of course, the character from the 400 Days story that we've seen in the Telltale game, and she is here. Omid has a Glock 17, by the way. Tavia holds her hands up and tells them she's cool. Omid says, just to be sure, give us your weapon. Tavia says she's alone right now. Her brother is up in an apartment building and he's really sick. Omid tells her that he doesn't care to listen until she drops her damn weapon. She goes ahead and drops her pistol to the ground. It's an M9 or M1 at 911. She says she isn't really much of a fighter, but she needs help. Omid asks with what, and she says to get medicine, anything like antibiotics. She says she thought this hospital would have that, so that's why she was coming to check it out. Omid says they need supplies to help with the baby. She's been pregnant for about 9 months, so it should be coming any day now. They need anything, just an overall safe place to deliver the baby as well. Tavia says she doesn't know how safe this place is. She's been observing it from all angles for about an hour. It seems to have a lot of the dead inside. Omid says then they take it slow. The group go in through the front entrance with their weapons up and ready. It's quite a dark hospital, very messy, very bloody. Omid looks around the main desk for papers that may show a map of the place or something, and he finds a directional sheet stating what each floor of the hospital is for. Floor 7 is the maternity floor. The pharmacy is on floor 2. They slowly walk up the first staircase they find, and it's very quiet. Omid says they'll get the medicine you need first, and then they head up to the 7th floor. Omid heads in through the door, and you can tell Omid is becoming more of a leader. He used to be that funny, comedic type guy last season, but after taking care of his pregnant girlfriend and a little girl for 8 months, he's changed a bit. You can tell. They find the pharmacy as it has been cleaned out of shelves. It's kind of almost empty. Tavia sees a walker getting up from the ground. She has a knife and uses it to put the walker down. She finds a few bottles of painkillers, but no antibiotics. Omid says they can definitely have some others around the building. This is not the only location that had medicine. They continue checking rooms together, not splitting up. Down the hallway, they hear a large group of walkers. It sounds like it's coming from the elevator shaft. Omid checks it out and sees a bunch of walkers stuck in the bottom of the shaft. The elevator's stuck above them. The group go all the way up the stairs to see the 7th floor. As they are walking up, they hear some moans and groans coming from some of the floors. They go into a specific room that looks the cleanest on the 7th floor and get Christa up onto the bed. Clem takes a look outside the window and sees a really epic shot of the city. She notices a pretty massive herd of walkers and calls it out to Omid. He takes a look and says, "Good thing they're up here." Omid tells them he's going to make sure the rest of the floor is clear. Tavia says he'll go with, and Omid says if she isn't a good fighter, she'd be better off here, but she says she wants to learn. And what better way than to actually experience it? Omid kisses Christa and heads out with Tavia. He tells Clem to keep an eye out as they keep the door shut. Omid and Tavia walk down the hall, checking in every single room as they chat. Omid asks if she's headed anywhere or planning to head anywhere after this is all done, once her brother gets better. Tavia says she's headed to North Carolina, actually, to a specific address. She says her boyfriend was visiting his family up there. They're from Miami, and when everything happened, he got trapped up there. Omid asks how she knows he'll still be there, and Tavia says that on call he said he would stay there and wait for her. Omid says there's still a chance he could have left. It's been almost a year. Tavia says there isn't much left in this world, but hope is still left, and she's going to hold on to that. She says his name is Wyatt, particularly Wyatt from the 400 Days DLC, if you guys remember that. Her brother's name is Russell, who Russell was also from the 400 Days. Obviously, they weren't brother and sister in the 400 Days. I'm just making that the case in the show. Omid pulls out a cassette tape from his back and shows it to Tavia after she asks where they are headed after this. He presses play on the tape, and in a woman's voice, the tape says, "For those looking for a place to call home and be safe from the undead, Wellington is welcoming in anyone. We are located in Scranton, Pennsylvania, near Dixon City," which is an actual city, by the way. "Please come." Tavia is shocked by it and asks if he thinks that's even real, and Omid says people have been leaving this all around at these little spots. It was near a sign that had more information. If they are going as far as Georgia to reach out for others, and they must be a large community, maybe somewhere they can just call home forever. Maybe they can finally have somewhere safe to raise their child. Omid tells her she's welcome to come along with them, and they can stop at that address along the way. Could take months, but it'll be worth it. Tavia smiles just as they hear groaning of walkers coming from nearby. They go out into the hall and see them piling up against another staircase, not the one they've been using though, against the door. They are all coming from upstairs, by the way. The walkers break down the door and split them off from being able to make it back to the room with Christa and Clem. Clem opens the door a bit to see what's going on, and she notices the walkers. She quickly closes the door quietly. Christa tries to get up as she realizes they have to help Omid out. Clem says it's too dangerous, but Christa tells her she's got to. Omid and Tavia are surrounded by the dead, as the only way out is the elevator shaft behind them, which is filled with walkers at the bottom. Omid says they gotta climb down to the floor underneath them. Omid helps Tavia down so she can swing down to the 6th floor through the elevator shaft, as the walkers quickly approach them. They successfully do this as Omid quickly swings down as well. Then walkers start flopping off the edge and down onto the walkers below. Christa takes her sniper rifle with Clem as they head out into the hallway and see this massive group of walkers in front of them. Christa gets Clem to back up as some of the walkers spot them and start heading their way. Christa attempts to use her knife to stab one in the head as Clem shoots like 3 of them with her pistol. Christa is struggling as she yells out for Omid. Omid hears this and quickly tries to get back up the stairs to reach Christa, but suddenly Omid notices more walkers down the hallway of the 6th floor. The walkers also break out of the stairwell, which means they are getting surrounded again. Christa begins to have stomach pains as she takes a breather. Clementine is forced to kill many more walkers as she helps Christa back into the room and back onto the bed. She shuts the door and throws a desk in front of it. Christa is in pain. Christa says she thinks the baby is coming. Clementine is freaked out, but she remembers back to a flashback, which was about 2 months prior. Omid, Christa, and Clem were sitting amongst a fireplace in a nice little home, as Omid teaches Clem all about how to deliver a baby just in case. Back to present, Clem is now living this reality. She helps Christa get her pants off and starts following the exact directions told by Omid. The walkers are right outside the room, banging on the door. Omid and Tavia fight the walkers back, but they quickly go through one of the rooms and close the door as they realize they are surrounded. They open the window and notice they can use the fire escape to go up, but the walkers quickly break through the door as Omid tries to head up the fire escape. The walkers reach out the window as one of them pushes Tavia to the side, but she quickly grabs onto Omid's leg, which pulls him down as well, and Omid is now dangling on the railing as Tavia is holding his leg, dangling off the edge of this fire escape. There's a giant herd below, by the way, but the drop is enough to kill them anyways. Clementine continues the delivery of Christa's baby. The walkers pile up outside the door as they start to creak open the door a little bit. Clementine has to take Christa's knife and stab them so she can shut the door again and gets back to helping Christa. Omid tries to pull up Tavia before pulling himself up, just as one of the walkers pushes themselves out of the window and onto the fire escape. Omid is forced to drop down, but they are both able to grab onto the fire escape a bit lower down. Omid notices the ledge above the hospital entrance next to them. He tells Tavia to try and land on that. They both do as they look amongst the herd of walkers below them. Omid says he's got to get up there real quick, so he says they got to head through the front. So he heads down with Tavia as the walkers run at them, even at the front entrance. They're everywhere. These walkers are literally everywhere. And so Omid and Tavia are forced to turn around and go down the alleyway next to the hospital. They realize there's no way out of this alleyway other than a sewage pothole. Tavia holds a few walkers off with their pistol as Omid tries to get it open. He gets it off as they both take a jump into the sewers and close the hole up. Omid falls down this hole because there's a ladder, but he kind of falls down and hits his head hard. The childbirthing continues just as Clem finally gets out the baby as she tries to wake it up and cuts the umbilical cord off. She does soft pats on the back and rubbing the baby's stomach and such, and the baby won't wake up. Christa notices it might be stillborn as she starts to tear up, as Clementine starts to worry as well. Sad music starts to tune in as Christa breaks down into tears hysterically. Clem cannot get the baby to wake up as she freaks out in denial. She kind of continues doing this, patting the back, doing all these different things to try to get the baby to wake up and start crying, but it won't. Clem then notices the baby's eyes open up a little bit, and she's excited at first, but the eyes are completely white. The baby then starts groaning. Not a normal baby crying, but like a really eerie sound. Like not even like a sound like a walker would make, but like a sound like a baby walker would make. The most creepiest sound you'll ever hear from this entire show. Walker, the baby's dead. The baby has turned into a walker, basically. Well, obviously he's not going to be able to walk, but still. Clementine puts the baby down on the floor and backs up in complete shock, and she's just staring at the baby. Omid and Tavia are shown in the sewers. Omid is knocked unconscious as Tavia is extremely exhausted. The walkers are shown surrounding the hospital above them. A close-up shot is then shown on Clementine's frozen face as Christa is crying in the background hysterically. We then get a cut to Clementine 16 months later in November 2012. So we go from July 2011 to a 16-month time jump to November 2012. So in terms of filming, if this were to be like an actual show, I guess they would film this episode right after they filmed season 1 maybe, so Clementine still looks younger. And then when they go to do the next season, they do this next part so Clementine looks a bit aged. Clem is shown a bit older now because it's like 16 months later. And I mean, if you do the math, it's a whole 2 years after season 1. Clementine is shown a bit older now at a campfire in the middle of the woods in the start of the cold season. She is with Christa. Omid is nowhere to be seen. We don't know what happened with him, but we will find out, don't worry. Christa is taming the fire as Clem checks through her bag, the same colorful rainbow bag, but it's a lot dirtier now. She looks at that colored picture she drew, but it's all wrinkled and ripped up. She asks Christa how close they are. Christa says she doesn't know, and we can assume where they're going is probably Wellington. A pan-out shot is shown to a sign that says, "Welcome to North Carolina," meaning they just reached North Carolina after traveling through South Carolina for quite a while. And you might be wondering, well, did it take them 16 months to travel through one state? Remember, it's The Walking Dead. There's a lot of things stopping them, a lot of things slowing them down. They stop a lot for nights. They have to find food. They get lost. All sorts of things happen. It's not like today where you have GPS. You could probably walk from one state to another, which in much less than 16 months. But in this case, that's just how it is. So that's the end of the episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Peace out.